Hello everybody, thank you very much for joining me for my review of the 1979 horror film The Brood, directed by David Cronenberg and starring Oliver Reed, Samantha Eggar, and Art Hindle. And I gotta say, this is one of the David Cronenberg films I hadn't seen. I'm a fan of quite a few of his films, like Dead Ringers and The Fly, and some other ones as well. And I have to say, I think The Brood is a little bit under the radar. I know there are some horror fans who praise this film, and I have to say, after seeing The Brood, I thought it was really, really good. This film actually disturbed me quite a bit. I'm someone who watches quite a few horror films, and there's a lot of my respect, but there's very few that actually disturb me, but there were a few scenes in this movie that actually got to me. So, the basic plot of this film is that basically a woman is institutionalized, and she's under some very unconventional and controversial type care from a doctor. And this might also be connected to some of the murders that are taking place. And I don't really want to give away any more than that, because this movie has a very strange and unconventional plot. It might be too over the top for some people, to be fair, but this movie, pretty much the plot of it worked for me. It's one of those you just gotta kind of go with, and I thought it was very creepy and disturbing. So, things about The Brood that I like: this is a very moody and atmospheric film. It only runs around an hour and a half, maybe a little bit over that. There are a few deliberate scenes, but I always found the film interesting and never slow. The actual horror scenes themselves, the kill scenes, are very well done. They're very disturbing in this film. This is also a very bloody and graphic film for its time. I was surprised for 1979 just how gory this film was. It's not over the top gory, but there is quite a bit of bloody imagery in this film. The acting ranges everywhere from great to just okay, but it all works fine. Oliver Reed is always a very solid actor. The score by Howard Shore is really, really exceptional. One of the better horror scores I've heard in a while. Very creepy and goes along well with the film. And I have to say, there's just a lot of very memorable shots and a lot of very memorable scenes in this film, in my opinion. And I was surprised by how much a lot of this film stuck with me when it was over. Also, I thought the ending, like I said, while some might find over the top, I found it to be very disturbing and very memorable. And just this film overall, I think, has a very unique feel. Like I said, I've seen quite a few horror films, and I don't remember one quite like this exactly. As far as negatives, this isn't a perfect film, as most films are. Some of the characters, especially the supporting characters, could have been developed more. Also, it was also very predictable what was going to happen to certain characters, which can be a problem in horror films. And the bigger problem I had was that parts of the plot did probably need to be fleshed out a bit more. I mean, everything doesn't have to be explained to me 100% in a movie, but there were a few things that just could have made a little more sense, or a few plot points that I felt kind of came out of nowhere that could have been built up to or explained a little bit better. But overall, if you just like creepy and disturbing, very atmospheric psychological horror films, I do recommend The Brood. And I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. And like I said, I think this one's actually a little under the radar, as there's a lot of David Cronenberg films that I hear a lot more about. But for horror fans, I do think The Brood is worth watching. So, 4 out of 5 for The Brood. And as always, thank you very much for watching.